This is the first of several recordings we're explaining the Mac desktop work environment and comparing it, trying to draw equivalence to the Windows and VDI Virtual Desktop Initiative work environment. So I've booted this Mac computer to a default screen. The application that I had running that I just clicked out of what's recording this video. It's called Screencast-O-Matic. So let's talk about what we're looking at here. The Apple tells us about what's the nature of this Mac, about the Mac. Let's just quickly go through. It tells you the operating system, the date of the machine, some of the hardware, parameters. You can generate a report. Displays. I have two displays here, although I'm mirroring them, so that's not. Storage is telling me about the composition of this computer. So it's composed of a 750 gigabyte hard drive, and that's partitioned in different ways. Some of it is Macintosh partition, so 194 of that is free. Then there's a part of it is partitioned in Boot Camp. That means if you boot it up in what's called Windows mode, it'll boot to that side. There's an external hard drive attached to it, 5 terabytes, and there's a lot of room on that. There appears to be a CD-ROM drive there as well. So that's telling you about storage, physical storage part. Memory, or otherwise called random access memory, which what's installed on this computer. We don't need to go into the rest of that. Recent items is a convenient place to store recent links and operations that you've managed. Force quit allows you to cancel any process that's going on that's giving you trouble. Restart, shut down, etc. Don't need to go into that. The Finder is what is on all the time, and it is the exploring application of sorts of it comes with the Mac that tells you and reports about everything that's on your computer. So if I, for example, ask it to give me a new Finder window, which you do pretty often, it's convenient to remember that command. It comes up with your home user icon there, and it's telling you these locations or folder representations are available to you, one of which is the desktop, which is the visual system that you're looking at here, the background. So a list representation of it will be represented here by expanding. So you see, if I move this aside, each one of these has a file moniker name equivalent of these things that appear on my desktop. Applications is a place where your programs live. So if I expand that location, the quick way to do it is to click here under Favorites. It's telling me all these programs that are installed on this computer. right? So if I wanted to run Safari, I could choose it from the applications here. This is called the dock down here, and I can place icons or shortcuts to things I use pretty often and store them here. So I can drag, let's say I wanted to use this VLC player, and I use it pretty often. I can drag it, select it and drag it to my dock, so that instead of fetching it from the applications menu, I can link it directly here. I explained the link to the desktop. There's also a quick link to documents. Some programs create their default folders where they store documents. For instance, the application I'm using to record this lesson creates a folder called Screencast-O-Matic Recordings, and there are some recordings I've made and one that I'm making right now. Downloads is a place where you store applications that you've searched for and wish to copy from the internet. Your home directory is sort of a shortcut of all these places. It organizes music, and it creates a folder for music and pictures, and a public folder as well. The Finder lists devices as well. Macintosh hard drive, for which there's a symbol here and a label, Macintosh HD, shows you what exists on the Mac side of this hard drive. It's a hard disk, which every personal computer has. Boot Camp is a partition that is on the same physical device as this Macintosh hard drive, but it appears, I'm just going to move it next, as a different has a different symbol and label. Those symbols are identical, but the label is just telling me that it's a different place. This is a CD-ROM that's currently inserted inside the CD-ROM drive. Architecture is a hard drive that I have connected to this computer. So if I were to put a thumb drive in one of the USB ports, it would appear as an icon here as well. One of the applications that we've installed on this computer is what's called a VMware Horizon client. So if I click on that, shortcut of which is on my dock here, I can log into Suffolk University's virtual desktop. So here's a Mac desktop. Suffolk is going to serve up this virtual desktop. We're going to use our username and login, and you'll see this commandeers the entire screen. It shows you the available virtual pools. I have several because I'm doing a lot of testing for the IT department. So you would double click on the pool that you wanted to use, and now it presents you with the Windows desktop. So how is this different from the Mac? Well, let's try this. Let's show you, see if we can do this next to each other. I'm going to take this window and uncheck Enter Full Screen. So I am now able to examine it independently. I'm trying to modify its size. So I'm looking at it independently of what's going on with my Mac. So here's my VMware window. That's my desktop in the Windows environment. Okay, so there are similar things here. If I click on this folder, this is the equivalent, more or less, of the Finder in the Mac environment. And it's telling me, it's giving me a list of different file locations, similar as the folder locations that we saw when we invoked the Finder. This system at the bottom here is what's called the taskbar. It's the equivalent of the dock in Windows. So I can take, if there are applications that I use all the time from Windows, applications are invoked from this Start button at the bottom left. And there's a Paint program I wanted to use. I could drag that icon to the taskbar. And it's the equivalent of what I did with the VLC player to the dock there from the applications menu. So in a Windows environment, the programs exist. Underneath this Start menu, it gives you an interface to the different programs that are available, and it lists them all. If I click on Start, list all programs. A lot of construction going on in the square here. I apologize for that. Right. So let's pause this and see if pause the recording.